hitting spin now.
Alrighty. Spinning.
I landed on perfect. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
I'm mad that Google changed their logos.
Did they?
Yeah, it took me 5 minutes to find the drive thing because they changed
Oh yeah,
it.
because they're ugly now.
Yeah,
Because
it's like,
I know I was looking for sheets and I was like, what the hell is this thing?
yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm looking at it now. Oh wait, that's my budget sheet. It's not that it matters. It's still the same thing. It's like,
You're not screen sharing. You're safe.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's just gonna know. Oh, well, it's the template page. I didn't go back to the normal page, but it's just like, yeah. I'm like, what is this? Like, hold on. Let me go to Google. Things I don't like saying. Yeah, like I click it. Like the Google search thing's the same. The map's the same. Gmail lost its yellow. It's like now in a corner, wasn't it? Like
one of the lines was yellow or something.
Yeah,
like
now it's
that.
very red.
See, the funny thing is, so on my phone screen, I've decided I don't like colors for things. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera, but I literally have all my icons set to be just like grayscale so that it looks like they all make sense next to each other.
It's mine is very much the same, except it's got it just matches
instead of
yeah. It matches the dumb little bears that I like on the Chinese social media. I just realized I had like my temperature and up, but I was like, I'll have to double check to make sure I just didn't dox myself.
Yeah, I don't think my location is up. I think it just has the general. In any case.
Yeah, I'll forget about it. So,
yeah,
but anyway,
we do have to check our sheets because we have so many rules and so many other things to do. Like I have to. Don't usually watch. So this was my prompt, right? So that's your note there. Okay. Yes. That makes sense.
No, we should have done the second note thing in our like 3-hour talk-a-thon.
To double check things, yeah. But so you have. I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row.
Yeah, I still get the roll twice and subtract. So, but you don't have to. You get to skip your joke, but you have to describe your food because we chose your prompt of the last thing you've eaten.
Okay. Yeah, this is, for anyone confused, I thought we were talking about movies. Yeah, before we talk about movies, we've made up a lot of silly rules for ourselves, so sometimes we have to go over it so we know the game plan. But yeah, so this week was an interesting one, at least for me, because I kept going back and forth on what to go with. And for anyone that didn't read the title, my prompt that I landed on in the wheel is genre you don't usually watch. And you would think if I wrote this prompt, I would have an idea, but I wrote this prompt 6-7 months ago now. Because we usually plan like the November, December before we actually start all of this. So
well, that's because we normally start recording
weeks ahead of time. Yeah.
Normally it's planned out in September.
Yeah. So I don't know. Did you have trouble deciding, or did you like know immediately?
I looked at that link I sent you of all the different genres, and I was like, there was 2 I was going between, and I'm like, no, I know what I'm choosing now. Like, I knew what movie I was gonna watch within like 10 minutes after the recording because I was like, okay, I never watch these movies, and I never want to. Like, I have watched the genre before, but it's just like, it's not
something you seek out.
Yeah, ever. And it's not like I see a trailer and it's like, oh, I'd like to watch that. So it was like tied between 2, and then I was like, no, it's definitely this one. And then I remembered a movie that I heard decent things about, and it was free. So
We'd like that.
I was like, yeah. I got another Tubi twist where it's just like, hey, I'm on Tubi. And I'm like, okay, sweet. And then on Saturday when I go to watch it, it's like, where is it? And it turns out within the 3 days they took it off Tubi.
A shame.
And so, but then I found it on something else for free. So
that works out. Yeah, I thought about I kept going back and forth between different genres, but I realized because of the way genres can be sometimes, I technically have watched them without really thinking about it. So at first I was like, I don't really watch mysteries, but I literally just watched Old Boy. And like I was like, oh, I don't watch action movies, but again, I literally watched Old Boy, and we watched all of the Ip Man movies. Like, even though it's not something I would seek out, I have watched them recently. So I was like, let me try something, like, even amongst all of these, something I definitely haven't watched. And then I was like, I haven't watched a comedy in forever. And then I looked at the popular comedy movies, or the well-rated ones. I was like, I've technically watched all of these just years ago. Like, things like Truman Show and things like that. I was like, okay, I have watched a lot of comedies in my lifetime. And I knew I tried to go with world cinema, because that's theoretically a genre. And then I was like, again, I just watched Old Boy. I love Parasite. Because I kind of wanted an excuse to watch what I've heard is really good, The Portrait of a Lady on Fire. But it's technically a drama. I was like, I watch a lot of dramas. It's a world cinema was the one I was going to try and do, but we watch a lot of translated films. So it was just, I had to go with something really out there. And I'll say what you watched last week inspired me, is my hint.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and I did talk to Strider, and he did say that fans of Westerns do look favorably on the newer True Grit, because he said it is more true to the novel than the old movie is, like the original movie. But I believe he said the old movie has John Wayne in it, and we don't fuck with John Wayne, so you don't have to watch it.
So yeah, it's no, works for me.
I know you asked me to ask him about it,
yes,
and I realized I didn't update you because I asked him immediately afterwards, and then the weekend, it just happened.
Yeah, it's all good. And so, yeah, he's the Western expert.
Yeah, so I did go to him for my counsel, and he was like, oh, so now you want to watch one? I was like, look, this time I'm asking to, so I definitely am gonna stay awake. But I could get more into it, like, when we actually get to talking. But
alrighty, well, the ball's still in your court, so you gotta I moved tabs.
Yes,
you gotta tell us what die we're rolling.
Okay. Yeah, so anyone who is newer here, we roll dice to see who gets to go first in talking about their movie. There will be no spoilers, because generally, unless we've watched the same movie, which would be it's only happened once so far, and that's because picking out of board game and TTRPG movies is not a lot when we've seen all the decent ones, i.e. Clue.
Less than 10.
Yeah. So we roll dice to see who goes first, gives a quick summary, and kind of like a loose review, maybe pitching or not pitching the movie. And we love excuses to roll more dice as tabletop fans. So the only dice that has not been rolled 3 times yet is a D4.
I already picked it out because I know how you choose. So. All right.
So lowest number wins.
And I get to roll twice and subtract them.
But oddly enough, we're still pretty even in terms of like number of times we've gone. Oh wait, this one shouldn't be filled out, just the D4. Okay.
Yep. So, let's see. Would your prediction be correct? All right. That's a 1. Can't wait for. Oh well, no. At subtracting anything will be a negative.
Negative number.
Okay. Well, I got a 0. I rolled 2 ones.
I rolled a 3.
I win.
All right. So you need.
I need to come up with a joke.
I don't have to do the fact because I get to skip that because I guessed your rating for the movie last week, and now I have to describe the last meal that I ate. Okay. So while you think of your joke, so the last meal I ate was breakfast right before we met up, and for breakfast today, I was kind of telling you before we started recording, I now own a toaster oven. So I have some bagels that are from the grocery store that are like, meh, I've had better bagels. But I toast it, and then I put cream cheese on it, and then I put a little bit of black pepper and fresh dill on the cream cheese, and then topped it with smoked steelhead trout.
as someone who hasn't eaten today, that sounds really good.
It's
But
very
if I
nice.
haven't eaten, it'll also sound very good.
So yeah, so that was my breakfast, and I only did a half a bagel because by me putting toppings on, it is, I have my protein. I don't have my green, but I do have my carbs. It's not enough dill for me to count it as having my vegetable with my breakfast, but but tasty nonetheless.
Yeah, I had a lot of people ask me, because for people who don't know, when I streamed, I would do cooking streams, and they're like, I had a couple people like, are you ever going to get back into cooking streams? And I'm like, probably not. It's, right now, it's, save money, because a lot of this stuff, food challenge and stuff, it costs extra money. And I'm like, this is an easy way to save money. And they're like, it's like, well, you can, fruit, Chizu, she was just like, well, you can still, like, post pictures of what you make. And I'm like, you want to know what I make? I make food for, like, pure nutrients now. It's not, like, presentation. It's like, I put onions, peppers, and rice with a little soy sauce and seasoning into the rice cooker. And then I either throw a salmon in there to cook, or I fry eggs, and that is my meal. It's
You
like,
have your protein, your veggie, your carb.
yeah. And I was like, that's all it is, because I'm like, I'm not trying to show it off. And she was like, oh, yeah, I do the same. Like, she cracks me up. But anyway,
Oh, and then the other thing is you can come up with your first, whenever you feel ready, the first half
Okay.
of your roll too.
I just breathed in and hair went in. Or whatever that was. I hope it was hair. Let's see. Trying to think of a fun rule. Let's see. This is like the hardest part, is just like thinking of it. It's just like,
It was easy in the beginning.
yeah.
And to think we have like 30 more weeks of this.
Yay!
Woo!
If here it is. Yeah, if the recording happens on a holiday, we can take a break from all rules.
Heck yeah. Too bad you came up with that
I
now.
know. I know. I was like, I was like, wait, today is technically a holiday. Now, hold on, we can check real quick. What do we? Oh no, I can't, because the computer doesn't tell me holidays. Anyway,
Let's see. The next
like,
Independence Day, air quotes.
I'm not even going to be in the country.
If for some reason we record on Father's Day.
Yeah, we do record sometimes on Sunday. Honestly, the one that has the strongest potential to be the land on there is Labor Day.
Yeah, because I know like there is Juneteenth, but we never record on a Friday. I don't get off for Columbus Day. Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. I don't even know when Halloween is. I'm assuming
It's the same day every year.
well, the actual day.
I think it's a Saturday this year.
Potentially. Yeah, it is Saturday. Thanksgiving, no, and Christmas, no. So we have like maybe 2.
It's all right. We'll find a way. But good rule. So in that time, do you also have a joke with your movie title?
Yeah. I don't think it's a good joke. Oh, I gotta now make sure I have everything set up. Let's see. So we'll just write this time here. Hey. So I don't think it's a good joke, because I'm really bad at thinking of jokes on the fly, which
None of my jokes have been good.
it's like let's see. Women have been asking for a lot of things. to break the glass ceiling, to get free things that for healthcare. That wasn't the joke. That sounded more like a sting, and it was like they came off a lot more harsh than I was expecting it to. But no, everyone deserves to make sure healthcare things don't cost $1 million. And when it comes to sports, they deserve a league of their own, which is the name of the movie I watched.
You got there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then my movie started with the letter H, so we do not do show and tell.
Okay. I forgot about that rule, but I'm glad you didn't. Okay. Yes. So I'm starting my time. A league of their own.
Let me write down my guess for a rating. I'm gonna put this. Okay.
Okay. I don't know what it is, but I hope this is good. So The League of Their Own came out in 1992. It is a movie based around. It's set during World War II, when America, like all the men were off fighting the war, and the in there historically a lot of these jobs, like that's when I'm blanking on a Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah.
Yes. Like she was in there for like a lot of women were but they were filling in the roles that were left when men were going to war. So that way, like, as they were fighting, like production and all that stuff to make sure that like everything kept flowing for World War II. In that, during World War II, though, at the time, a lot of baseball players started signing up to go to war, go to fight the war. And in there, they were like, hey, we, I believe this is historically correct, where they were just like, hey, we need to find out something to do. Like, we're putting baseball on hold until everyone comes back from the war. And what are we going to do in the meantime? And so they give it to, whatever his name is. I'm trying to find it. I lost it. They give it to this one guy who pretty much sets up to make a women's league of baseball in World War II. And so pretty much it's, the movie starts off like in the 1980s as we see pretty much the main character, who's now like, she's a grandmother, and like her daughter's like, okay, no, you have to go to this thing. You got to go. And she's like, I didn't even want to play baseball. I was like, yeah, whatever, go. so eventually they go, like, they don't really say much, and then she comes out, and it's like this baseball field, and like she goes, looks, and there's just like all these like kind of like grandmas playing baseball. And like we go back to World War II, where it's when we learn that pretty much they were setting up to make this league. And there's it goes from, pretty much the story follows these two sisters, Dottie and Kat Hinson. No, that's not right. That's not their last name. Where is it? Because they get married, so they get different last names. Oh, no. Okay. They kept it there. Anyway. So anyway, it's Dottie and Kit. They're sisters in the middle of Oregon. They get scouted by this complete trash of a human, who's just like, man, I don't know how anyone can like you, and I'm glad you're only in the movie for like 15 minutes. But yeah, it goes in there to show like how they are trying to get to join the team, like join, because they're making 4 teams, and then from there they go and after the teams, they're gonna go and make all these other things. So in all that, the movie isn't really, so I was tied between a romance or a sports movie. And I was like, I didn't know which one I wanted to watch. And I was going back and forth, and I was like, you know what? I do watch kind of the same thing you were saying. Like, there's movies with like a subplot of romance that I think is well. And like originally going into this, I was fully going to watch a romance movie. But then I was like, I don't watch anything sports related. Like that. Nothing at all. Like, it's just, I remember the Titans or other movies, and I was like, okay, so
Yeah, I guess your only argument could be Ip Man because it's martial arts, but that's
yeah,
like
it's
different.
its own. Yeah. And so that's why I decided to watch a sports movie. This movie, it's focused a lot more around the context of the sport than the sport itself. So like in the beginning, they were like, hey, this is going to be your uniform, which it's close to, like, it's pretty much what they had to wear in that time, which was like a skirt, like just a one, like, kind of, it's a dress pretty much,
kind of like the one piece swimsuits, kind of
a little bit, yeah,
or like a tennis dress.
Yeah, but
Okay.
so the dress kind of goes like mid thigh, and they're like, all the women are dressed in normal like baseball wear. Like, why do we got to wear that? And it's like, well, it's like you can choose not to wear it, but you can go home. Like, I have like 32 other women that would gladly wear this dress to like wear this uniform. So they're all like, okay, like we'll stay. And it's like, all right. And then the other thing is you got to, which I don't know if this was true or not, because there was a couple things I was looking around to find out how true the things were. But they were like, okay, now you got to wear this, but not only alongside baseball practice, you have to go and take pretty much, I'm forgetting what they called it. It was pretty much like how to, oh, someone woke up. How to be like a woman class, like a classy woman.
I'm trying to think of like manners classes or something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to scan to see if I can find what they call it.
Etiquette?
Yeah, I think it was something, it was close to that. So like we see a little bit of that. And so like the first start of the movie is like all this training and stuff that they do. But like most of it is like they have to look, it's funny like seeing it on the screen, like the TV, and then seeing pictures of the actual baseball players where I'm just like, okay, like, not as I heard, it's like, hey, not my type of beauty, but hey, it's it was like, I don't know if that was the case or not, but I'm just like who some of these characters were based off of. So they go do that, and then like we learn more about the team, and pretty much we don't really see a lot of baseball. Like we see like pretty much the most that baseball's shown is like, oh, here's their winning, here's their going, here's like all this stuff's going on, and then what is more talked about is like the context around it, where it's like the women, like they, like once they start winning and all that stuff, they start they're like, okay, well, we want to live life a little bit, and they're just like, they're on the road, and so they go to a bar, and like they ask Dottie, who's like kind of she is the team captain. She's the one that she's the unofficial team captain, because like they get Tom Hanks, who is this like baseball player who like pretty much got drunk, hurt himself, and then can't play baseball anymore to be the coach, and is very abrasive and mean-spirited because he doesn't want to do it. Like he would much rather play, but he's like, no, I don't want to do this. And so he still shows up drunk and all that stuff, so she has to step in and do this. There's a scene where they go to a bar with it, like, and she doesn't go, and then she shows up just like and it's like, hey, we all gotta go, and they're just like, why? And it's like, why can't we have someone who's like, no, because the like league team like manager or whatever is coming here, and if he catches us, we're all gone, like we're done. And so they're like, oh, okay, so they like all run out of the back and all that stuff. And so, but it's like there wasn't really any consequences. It was just like that was like a scene. And that's kind of what like a lot of the stuff in this movie felt like. It's like there's it was interesting, but I think if I remember correctly, there's a Amazon Prime series based off. It's either a series or a movie that's based off the same story.
Okay.
And it's very much like it's done in the late 90s, early 90s, and so like,
does it feel more like a comedy?
No, it's just it felt more like, hey, here's a story of a part of history that we haven't told. We don't need to really be accurate.
Okay.
So it's almost things where I'm like, hey, this is a part in history. We know, like, there's people we can talk to. There's all this stuff, and there's stuff we could learn about. Like not that we necessarily had to watch the baseball games, but it would have been interesting to see more of like the context around it, because it's watching the movie, it's very easy to forget, except for like certain parts that World War II is happening.
Okay.
And like Dottie, she brings up multiple times, she's like, I'm married, my husband is off fighting in Italy somewhere. And like they bring it in a little bit where it's like she's like, I don't know what's happening with my husband. Like he normally writes every week. I haven't got anything for 3 weeks. And it's like, but then they like drop that. And then there's like another scene where the mailman or the telegram officer is coming back to bring one of the letters that their husband died off in war. Mm-hmm. And it's just like a scene. There's like no like aftermath of that. There's no playing on it. It's just like, your husband died, emotions, okay, next scene. And so the overall, it's like the story was much more focused on the relationship of the sisters, as like Dottie never wanted to play baseball, but she was so good that she was named like the best player in the league. And so what was like helping generate like attention and so in the story, at least, which Dottie is a real person, but like the story is not. Like she was the best player, but she didn't go in with her sister. The person who wrote the story was basing it off, I think, her parents or her grandparents or something like that, where
but use the names of
yes.
Yeah, okay.
So they used the story of like her family members like to go in there, but then kind of used some of the stuff in there, where it's like I can understand why, like, because this was probably written in the late 80s and then going in there, and it's like it's not like we had the internet to the state it is now to
immediately debunk anything.
to debunk or look stuff up. So it's just like, for the time it came out, I don't think like I'm willing to forgive it, but it's just like I feel like there's just so much more that of like that whole history that kind of gets looked over, because like they did this and there was so much fighting to keep the women's league of baseball open. And I was reading the only like they kept it going for a couple years, like I think like maybe 5 to 7 years.
Okay. And
the only reason it failed was because television took off and like and live broadcasting, so people were able to watch men's baseball at home. And so they didn't,
instead of needing to get tickets to games and go places.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was just like when they were able to show Major League Baseball in the homes, that's what killed from what I was reading, the women's league. But they don't go into that. It's like the and all that stuff. It's much more of like the much more focus on the sisters and like kind of like the interpersonal stuff, and it's like things that it's like it feels like knowing that this was written from the grandchild or child of one of the people that was on one of these teams. It really feels like, oh, here's stories that they told
or they collected.
So let me put them together, let me string together a story and see what and put it all together. Which in the end, it's like, hey, it's a movie. It came out. It's not a bad movie, but it's just like, I think personally I would have been like, okay, I think I would like the
more depth to it.
More of the historical depth of it. So yeah, that's but in the end, I think it is a decent movie. I don't know the Amazon Prime version of it. If it changes in there, like if what they do differently or whatnot, but yeah, it was. Let's see the critical response here on Wikipedia's
for the Amazon or for the one that you watched?
The one I watched. So okay. Yeah, the average score is 7 out of 10. It's got an 82% out of 80 based on 82 reviews. That works. Yeah, and then someone on Rotten Tomatoes, they said it's sentimental and light, but still thoroughly charming. So, and then overall, let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find. There's a spinoff. Okay, so there was in 1993 a TV series shown on CBS. Okay, here we go. In 2020, Amazon Video ordered a reboot series, and it came out in 2022, and then was renewed and then March 2023. Okay. In 23, they were supposed to do a 4-episode final season, but the writer strikes happened, so they had to scrap it.
Okay, seems like it did well enough, though. It had multiple seasons.
Yeah, I'm like clicking on it. Yeah, so I don't know what was different and all that. Yeah, so I don't know what's different about it because I don't have Prime anymore. So, but yeah, overall it was like it was a light peek at history, and it's probably because I enjoy digging into history a little bit that I was like, I think I would like a little bit more of what's going on. Like, I think it would have been interesting. Like, they show a little bit of it, but it's still like in that 90s comedic fashion where it's just like, it would have been nice to know, like, they got their heckling, but then it doesn't really go too much into it, where it's just like until it didn't go too much into it. It's like, oh, people aren't showing for games. Like, what do we got to do? And then, or it's like people were heckling, and it's just like but it was all like scenes, not like things that went into that. It's like, oh, this happened. Oh, we threw a baseball at them, and then no more heckles. And
so does it feel almost like a sanitized version of it, where it's like, this is an easy way to tell the story without it being like in depth, kind of like, not to say like surface level, because the themes aren't surface level, but in terms of like, kind of like when sometimes people tell me stories like, hey, did you know so and so like bullied me, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, and then when they finally go, oh, by bullying me I mean they did all these things, you're like, wait, that's more than bullying, like that kind of like disparity. Yeah,
it's like one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know if like because it definitely feels like, hey, we wanted to talk about the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. That's what it was called, which was a mouthful. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, I'm wondering, just due to just Hollywood at that time, if they felt like they could go into the depth of some of those things. To be like, hey, here's like what was going on beyond like the surface, like a little bit deeper, and what's going on, like the back and forth. But it's like a lighthearted kind of take on it. But yeah, that's my time's up. So
Oh. Okay.
but yeah, it's like that's pretty much like, in the end, do I think people, I think it's not a terrible movie to watch because it's a fun story, but it's not like historically deep.
Yeah. So, what's your final rating?
I like, because I was like, I feel like this is, for me, a average movie. So like, I gave it like a 6. Like, there's nothing wrong with the movie, but there's nothing that I was like, this is amazing. I watched it. Will I watch it again? Most likely not. So.
Dang it. I wrote down a 7 because I've heard of this movie. Like, I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's a beloved movie. But I know that we don't have the nostalgia for it. So I was like, okay, let me knock it down like a point. Because I didn't want to go solo. But, man, I don't get to skip things next week.
I haven't been able to skip anything any week.
That's because you don't trust your gut.
Yeah. I will this time, and it'll be wrong.
All right. Anything else you want to say as like final notes before I hop in?
No, I pretty much said all that I needed to about the movie. It's like, it's, as I said, like, I don't know if the Amazon series is different. Like, if it shows a little bit more of a historical take on it. I just realized that the Library of Congress selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry as culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. I don't, maybe culturally.
At the time, it probably was the only movie about the only media about the women's female league.
True.
So that's probably why.
Mm-hmm. So the stage is yours.
It's mine. All right. So, like I kind of hinted at before, I watched a Western. For anyone that didn't listen to last week's episode, last week, Itisdpayne watched True Grit. And I was like, man, it really is Westerns. That's like the one movie, like, that I can't make excuses for other like subgenres or anything like that in the way like mystery, humor, romance, kind of like the same things you said. I also thought sports, and I was just like, I couldn't think of a sports that I really wanted to watch. So I went with Western. I asked Strider because that's his favorite genre. And we were looking through the list of the popular one, or the well-regarded ones. And a lot of them, he has actually shown me, like the Clint Eastwood ones. I've watched a few, things like that. So there was one that came out in 2016 that neither of us have watched. And it's called Hell or High Water.
Oh, I think I own that one.
Impressive.
I haven't watched it.
Hey, that's another prompt for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we ended up coming down to this, and it was interesting because at first when he was reading the brief description, he thought it might be one of those movies where somebody's vrooming outside of my house, apologies. But there are some movies more recently that will say that they're Westerns, but it's more like rather than hitting the different notes of a Western, they're just kind of set generically where a Western would be set. But Hell or High Water, once I read the full description to him, he said it did seem to fit more of the bullet points he expects from Westerns. Basically what you have is you have a pair of brothers who decide to start robbing banks. But it is set in a modern age. Like, it is set in the time of, like, cell phones, TV surveillance for, like, banks and everything like that. So they decide to start robbing banks, and it immediately starts with them, like, robbing a bank. And then you also have this other side plot of a Texas, I think Field Marshal is his title. And he's clearly about to retire based on like the conversations. And it's also played by Jeff Bridges, which is very fun to watch. And he's decided this is going to be his like last big job, right? So the brothers, the hardest thing for us to get over is the fact that they want to convince us that Chris Pine is just a guy in the West who's poor. No matter what he does, he has Hollywood face, right? And then Strider mentioned, they were like, I know they put makeup on him to make him look like he's sunburned and make him look like this, but it looks like makeup. And modern day cameras, like, it's like, if you can see their pores, you can like tell it's makeup. But in any case, and if you go to the IMDb, like, I'll try and find a picture for you, but we had to suspend our disbelief that there were people like in the movie that were like, oh yeah, these two were at the diner and they looked like brothers. And I was like, you guys cannot tell me you saw these two men eating together and said, yeah, they're related. Like, they do not look like brothers. But in any case, the story basically follows the two of them as they start a string of bank robberies. You have the picture I sent you, D-Payne. The guy in the forefront, his name is Tanner, and he has a history. Like, he's recently out of jail, and he has a full record, and he is, as a character, the way I would describe him is he's extremely reckless, and he clearly gets, like, off on the excitement of committing crimes. And they do a lot of pan over shots showing that they live in poverty. They live in an area of Texas where it's all oil. Like, you see the oil pumps consistently. And other than that, it's just grass, right? They don't live in anywhere that's, like, well off. Chris Pine's character is the kind of, like, that foil where he's very much like, we need to do this carefully. We need to, like, not make mistakes. Let's not make it a bigger deal than it is. So, like, the Tanner character is very much, like, he's the shouting one. He's the one with the gun pointed at people, telling them what to do, instructing them, and coming up with, like, that energy that you see for, like, bank robbery movies. Whereas Chris Pine's character, who's named Toby, is very much like we need to go when there's nobody at the bank. We need to only take small bills. We need, like, very, like, thinking about it very carefully. And you soon find out that they only seem to be robbing a particular branch of a bank. And Jeff Bridges' character, when he catches wind of it, he's like, oh, there's bank robberies? Does the FBI want our help? And they're like, no, the FBI doesn't care because it's only one branch of banks, and they're not taking any more than a couple thousand at a time. So the FBI is like, this isn't worth our time, right? It's just petty thieves. So Jeff Bridges is like, all right, and starts doing the piecing together kind of like... I'm trying to think of a better example, but I keep thinking of, like, Criminal Minds or, like, CSI, where they go, well, they're only going after this one bank. They seem localized. This is their pattern. So this is who I imagine these people are. And we watch that on, like, the sidelines, as we also watch the brothers going between banks and them having the consistent fight over, like, if we're going to be doing this, how do we do this? And one of the big cruxes of the movie starts to happen when we see the Tanner brother decide to rob a different bank that's not in the plan. And then you start to see Toby's character go, like, that wasn't part of the plan. We've wasted days. We've wasted time. You've brought more attention to us. This is going to be a lot harder. Because you also find out the branch of banks that they've been robbing, the bank manager is like, yeah, we're switching our cameras, but they're not hooked up, so we don't have any security footage. But the extra bank that was not on the list has up-to-date cameras, and the bank manager there is like, what kind of bank doesn't have cameras? And Jeff Bridges names the branch of the other bank, like, kind of talking shit on it, like, well, you'd be one of these banks. Yeah, and then... So it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of interpersonal stuff. It's kind of more character-driven than I think the description of the story gives. Description, I think, wants to imply that it's like a high-paced energy movie, but I think it's a little bit more character-driven. And with the writing and the dialogue of this is very witty in that I think it does a good job of you get to know the characters without them having to do exposition dumps. Like, in the beginning, you have a few exposition dumps where they're like, hey, what happened to mama? And then they do the whole, well, while you were in prison, you know, like those kinds of dialogues. But it doesn't take a half hour. It's like quick little snippets of it. And then throughout the movie, in the way that makes sense, the brothers start to reveal a little bit more about themselves to each other, because you can tell that they're one of those families where the brothers were like, I would do anything for my brother, but I don't talk to my brother. Mm-hmm. So as they're stuck doing all this stuff together, making dumb mistakes, trying to figure out their plan, you have moments of them going like, oh, by the way, I do this. And the other brother's like, what the hell? Why would you do that? And the other brother's like,
High
you know,
water?
you should... And then the other brother is like, you know, you should probably talk to your sons. And I'm like, rich coming from the guy that loves robbing banks, you know, but it's that whole back and forth of, you know, you're like, you have shaky morals, but like different things are important to you. And then Jeff Bridges the whole time. Sometimes it was a little hard for me to watch, because at first I couldn't tell if his character was racist or just an asshole. But as you watch the movie, he's just an asshole, because his partner in the movie, you find out, is half Mexican and half Native. So Jeff Bridges does the like needling where he'll say stupid stuff like, oh, isn't this what your people do? And his partner goes, just shut up already. I'm so tired of listening to these jokes. And it's just that consistent amount of joking that you can tell that they're actually friends, but in the way that Jeff Bridges wants to push people away, like his character. But his partner he's stuck with him because he's like, you know, like if Jeff Bridges is like his head in the office, then the other guy's like right underneath of him, like a step below him. Okay. So, and then his, the guy he works with is constantly telling Jeff Bridges, like, I know you're old, I know you're retired, I know that you're extending this as long as possible because you want one big hurrah before you retire. And Jeff Bridges' character is like, shut up, and then has a sad moment in the corner of the hotel room because he's right and got called out on it. So it's an interesting dynamic. I really liked the characters, and I really liked all of it. I think when I was talking to Strider about it, our biggest gripe is, all things considered, it is faster paced than I think the story should be. So the movie in total is only an hour and 42 minutes. But because you have all these different side plots and things happening, like when it comes to the bank robberies, it goes robbery, robbery, robbery. And there's, instead of there being those moments like in between, there are some quieter moments as things are coming to their like conclusions about like, you know, one of those movies where you're like, they're doing bad things are going to happen at the end of the movie, right? Like they can't just get away with it. When it gets to that second half, it definitely starts to slow down, but the beginning is very like place to place to place, with the cuts being like immediate and like not really a big transition to it. And Strider was saying that the modern pacing kind of gets in the way because you don't really get to sit with things, and I agreed with it. And then I think the only other thing that really made us kind of go was the way that the ending was handled. Not to say, like, partially disagreeing with the ending, but also partially, like, it kind of, how do I say? You know how sometimes a movie you can tell is kind of building towards a particular kind of tension, and they want you to feel a certain thing almost to deliver whatever, like, the message can be vague, but, like, it seems to have, like, that build-up emotionally. When it got to the ending, it kind of felt like, I guess in the way that you felt about A League of Their Own, where you're like, this feels like a nice way for things to wrap up, a nice way for us to tell this story, where we thought it would end up much worse. You know, like, the reality of it would have been a much messier, a much more complicated, a much more unpleasant and unsatisfying way. But that would have made sense to us based on the way that, like, the characters, especially with them, they're, like, literally robbing banks. And then there are a lot of guns involved. So, of course, there's also murders, right? Like, people are dying. So the way for it to end, we were like, some of this is a little bit convenient. Some of this makes sense. Some of this is, like, feels Hollywoodified, where they wanted to have a little, like, cute message at the end versus, like, what you would expect to happen. But overall, I was pretty engaged with it. Again, maybe it's because of that modern pacing where you don't have the lulls in between. But I will say I did tear up a bit, so that surprised me. And I was doing the thing because we were watching this at home, and I was like, don't tell me this is gonna happen. And Strider's just like, well, because you would think, I don't know, I guess I'm out of practice of watching things like animes, but I used to be really good at catching death flags. I guess not so much anymore, but yeah, overall, though, I think it was very entertaining, very well written. And I believe when Strider looked it up, he was curious if this was a remake, because a lot of newer Western movies tend to be like, kind of like you said with True Grit. It's like reimagining the older stories. I think he said that the writer for this based this off of the concept of there's a lot of towns and communities that are kind of dying away. They have some commentary about like ranchers and how they're like, hey, my kids don't want this job. It's hard work and it's not appreciated and, you know, things like that. So there's commentary on that. And then I think they said they based this. Oh, and then I think they said they have a relative that was a field marshal that they got to know while they were retiring. So I think that's where Jeff Bridges' character gets developed into that whole. And I will say that all the characters to me feel very developed. Like, Jeff Bridges, even though, like, he could have just been, like, a cop for cop's sake, he instead feels like a guy who's confused at the modern age and, like, clearly is obsessed with work in a way. The thing that made us, like, he's also very funny in his delivery of things. One of the things that made us laugh is they're in a hotel room or motel room, and the one side character, or his sidekick, air quotes, is playing, like, one of those televangelists. And Jeff Bridges is like, turn on anything else. I don't want to watch this. And he's like, I thought you were a Christian. And then Jeff Bridges is like, okay, God talks through my dog just as much as he talks through this random man who wants my money. I don't want to watch this. And like kind of like has little moments of commentary on it. And then they switch it to sports and it's football. And then he starts making fun of the one guy saying like, I don't understand soccer. If a 5-year-old can do it, anybody can play it. How can you call it a sport? Because the one guy, like I said, he's like half Mexican and half native. And at one point in the movie is like, you only make insults about me being native. I'm also half Mexican. And Jeff Bridges is like, I'll get to the other half when I run out of jokes. Like, he's an asshole, but he's like endearing in a way. And then he starts like making fun of, and he's like, yeah, making fun of soccer for your Mexican half. Is it even yet? And the guy's like, I hate being stuck with this guy. But then later on, when they start to like piece together everything and think that they're gonna catch the bank robbers, they Jeff Bridges is like, play me some giddy up music, we did it, boys. And he the guy turns on the radio and the radio starts singing like hymns, and he's like, no, not this, anything but this. So like very little like quips and lines, but you can tell they feel like they feel like people. You can kind of, in the way that you can tell what they're probably doing even when they're not on screen, which is like impressive to do considering 2 full plot lines with theoretically like 4 main characters in an hour and 42 minutes. So you see where it's like they squeezed in a whole lot of stuff, but very entertaining nonetheless. As far as like other things I have to say, I guess I should have led with general warnings. I mean, bank robberies, guns, violence, murder. There's discussions of dead parents and banks taking advantage of people, i.e. them robbing a particular bank branch. There's like a whole, I won't reveal a lot about that plot, but there's a reason they're targeting a particular bank. And then classism, of course. And there are swaths of racism, but not in a way to me that feels unwatchable. Because, you know, sometimes we'll watch movies that are talking about racism, but it's like, not to say aggressive, but it's very like in your face because some people need it to be in your face for it to be a proper discussion. This one, it has racist terms and racist things happening, but I think what made it easy for me to watch is, like I said, the one character is half native and half Mexican, and anytime someone says something racist to him, he like goes, no, that's a misconception, like that is not how I actually am. Because like I said, like Jeff Bridges is like aren't you spiritual or something? And he goes, no, I'm Catholic because I'm half Mexican. And Jeff Bridges goes, huh, wouldn't have guessed. But it's like, it plays on it in that way. So it kind of like humanizes a lot of the interactions. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty fun watch. Do you have your... I assumed you put your rating in a while ago.
Oh, yeah. So as soon as you started talking, I was like, all right. I put an 8.
Yeah, 8 is about what I would give it.
I win!
You did it. You trusted your gut.
Yes, I was like, gut, don't lead me wrong. Or you're just hungry.
All right, so then you get to skip.
Woohoo!
And then, how much time do I have left on my timer?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. So let me think if there's anything else. Yeah, I feel like some of the other subplots I don't necessarily want to touch on because some of it is significant, I think, to the way that the story plays out. This is definitely a movie. If you want to watch something action-packed, I don't think this is necessarily the one because really this is one of those movies that's like everybody is suffering and you get to watch them make bad decisions because either like they're backed up against a wall or they don't know, like, based on the systems at play, they don't know how else to react to things, I guess is how I would phrase it. I guess it's similar to having your back up against a wall. But it's a very, like, what desperation can do to people movie, I think. And then there's also, I know Strider, he gave me some of the bullet points that he said he felt like it actually does make it a Western. One of them is there is the conversation about civilization in terms of like lawlessness versus justice. Actually, I think those are 2 separate bullet points, but I'm trying to remember different things. And then there's also commentary about like, I guess I would swath it to say, like, he said it does have actual elements that he would like to see from a Western, and it's not just in that there's a setting or that there are cowboys. But he did poke fun to say that everyone was like, yeah, they were lean like cowboys, and I showed you the picture of the 2 of them. Yeah. And Strider was like, nah, they don't really look like cowboys, because there's a scene later where they had ranch hands, and there's like a fire and they're all like, we're trying to get the cattle out, and the guy on the horse, Strider was like, that looks like a cow guy because he's like sunburnt, he's like not lean but like, you know, a particular body type to be able to handle a lot of the ranch hand work. So there are some things that the 2 of us had to kind of be like, you know, we can tell these guys are just actors and they didn't do a good job of casting just people. Like, we could believe the guy in the forefront of that photo is a guy that's just, you know, doesn't take care of himself out in the West. But there were some side actors that were really funny. There was a waitress. They go into the restaurant, a much older woman, and she believably seemed to be from a small town. They sit down at this restaurant and this old waitress goes, "What don't you want?" And Jeff Bridges is like, "Excuse me, ma'am?" And she goes, "Well, what don't you want?" And he's like trying to look at a menu that's like written like next to the bar super far away. And she goes, "In my 44 years of working here, everybody only orders a T-bone steak and mashed potatoes. So I'm asking you, do you not want green beans? And do you not want..." And there's like another side. And these two are like field marshals, like cops. And they're like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I guess I don't want green beans." And she goes, "Good." And she looks at the other guy and goes, "What don't you want?" And he's like, "I don't want green beans either, ma'am." And then she goes, "All right, 2 T-bones, medium rare." And the one guy goes, "Actually, can I?" And she said, "I didn't ask you a question, did I?" And he goes, "Sorry, ma'am." And she goes, iced tea for you." And she looks at him and he goes, "Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am." And she writes, "An iced tea for you," and looks Jeff Bridges in the eye and goes, "Perfectly fine, ma'am. No questions, ma'am." Because, like, you know, they have guns. They're tough guys. But this one waitress is just like, talking at them, and it was so funny. And she walks away, and the two of them don't know if they're allowed to say anything in the restaurant because they're the only two there, and they're like, if we say anything, she's gonna hear us clearly. And they walk outside as they're doing like the stakeout for the next bank they think they're gonna rob. And the one, Jeff Bridges is like, well, the restaurant's never getting robbed with that woman there. And the other guy goes, yeah, the rattlesnake of a waitress. I was like, but you know what I mean? Like, that makes it feel very, like, alive.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, and it's just, I don't know. Like, I think the casting was overall great. Like, even though visually Chris Pine to me doesn't look like the type of guy, he does do a good job in the role. So I can't complain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, I'd say I'd recommend it. And if you were... if you wanted another Western, I think you could give this one a try, and I think you'd like it too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do own it. I don't know where
we'll see if
yeah.
We'll see if we spin it.
Yeah.
I do have the wheel up.
I'm just wondering where my movies are. Because I move stuff around. I'm like, I don't know where they got put. But yeah, it's
you
just
also
time
have
to spin
moved
the
a
wheel.
few times, so.
Yeah. No, I know they're all in a big binder. I just don't know if it's behind here or not.
Maybe if we ever have to do show and tell, it'll be your DVD collection in your binder.
Maybe. I would have to find it.
All right.
I think it's behind me somewhere. But anyway, yes, it's time to spin the wheel. I'll write down the time.
I am hitting spin now.
Ready. Spinning,
and
spinning.
I landed on... Perfect! A movie you own that you haven't watched. Can't make it up.
Wait, who can veto?
Me. But I'm not going to.
You only vetoed not to watch Shark
Six-headed Shark.
I'm going to make sure you watch at least one of them.
Is this going to turn into a Clockwork Orange? My eyes are stuck open.
No, the one where it's like, was it the recommend a movie the other host disliked? It's on there.
Ah! And there's no choice because I'd have to be like, Dpayne, what did you not like? And you'd be like, I have a movie for you.
Yeah.
It's because I've been avoiding it. This is what I get.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see.
So
That's
this
for
is
future.
This was one of your prompts.
Oh.
So you also
I have to describe my foods.
flip-flop for me this week.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably be recording on a Wednesday, so I'll actually be able to. I realized, like, depending on when we record, it's going to be me eating the same thing every time.
I hope you always have your prompt chosen then.
Well, I only have
there are more of mine left than yours.
10, 11, 12. I got 12 left. So, anyway, that means at the end, if that happens, it's going to be a lot of you. But only you. Or that's when we'll like go over and you'll get rid of that rule as soon as like all my prompts are gone. It's like, no more talking about my food.
I know we've written so many ways to try and get rid of prompts, and it's just not happening. But it's because we're not forcing it because we set it on time.
Yeah, well, we wanted to be fair. Last time, like, we were really close when I was editing it. It was like 30, like a full minute under the 15.
So if I had more issues with OBS, I could have made it happen.
Yeah, I was thinking about it that time. I was like, you know what? It should be the record, like when I go and edit the video and everything and put it together, then I'll be like, okay, next episode, when it came out, this is what it came out to. So, but that is it. I am now hungry because it's 1. So,
we have yapped a lot this morning.
It is what it is. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. We will see you all next time and see what movie we watch that we own that we haven't watched yet. So, next time. Peace.